Radio IMWS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the election special on Radio IMWS. Now, on May the 7th, voters up and down the country will head off to their local polling stations with an eye to vote in a local MP and a government. With around 8 weeks to go before the general election, it's important to make an informed decision and use your vote to shape politics on a local and national level with issues that matter to you. With this in mind, Radio IMWS has been given an opportunity for local candidates to come into the studio and give you, our listeners, a chance to ask the questions that matter to you. Co-hosting this evening, as he has been for the past 5 weeks, is Mr. Ayyub. Bismillah. Ayyub, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is it 5 weeks?
It is. Yes, we have our fifth candidate in the chair today.
Not many days to go before the decision day.
Oh, yes. It's happening. Now, are you by anything to add?
Right. Well, like we said for the past few weeks, Radio IMWS, we really want to make it very clear again to all our listeners that this radio will be very much neutral. We do not intend to promote any particular candidate or a party. However, we will try our very best to represent our listeners, the IMWS members, and the wider community's interests. And to this end, we will challenge candidates on what they stand for and how they will benefit the community.
Yep, absolutely. We will do, inshallah. And this week, our guest is the Liberal Democrat candidate for Dewsbury, Ednan Hussain. Ednan, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa alaikum salam. I would like to start by thanking IMWS for giving me an opportunity to get such a good event. Thank you for taking the time out and listening to me as well. Now, I want to thank Muhammad Bhai and Ayyub Bhai for this event, and thank you to the organisers for giving me an opportunity.
All right, that's brilliant, mashallah. Now then, Adnan, let's start off with, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and also why you've decided to stand as the Lib Dem candidate for Dewsbury?
Okay. As you aware, I have been selected as a prospective parliamentary candidate for this area. I know the area really well. I was born here and I've spent all my life here. I studied locally and work in the area. I use the same services that all of those in the room use, and cutbacks in services affect us all. I am keen to stand up for our local services. I will be fighting against a cutback at services at Dewsbury Hospital, Dewsbury Police Station. I will be fighting for investment for across the area, and I am not afraid to challenge decisions that will have a determinant area. Dewsbury Hospital was an excellent hospital. The merger with Wakefield and Pinderfield placed it into debt and resulted in cutback of services. Sadly, and I say sadly, the Dewsbury Labour Member of Parliament agreed to the merger. He has moved out of the area and has left people like us to deal with their consequences. I will fight harder to remain that there's no more cutbacks, and I will do everything in my power to secure investment. I am proud that my party recognises this, and that's why I've invested £8 billion into NHS. I'm also proud that Lib Dems in government have introduced a pupil premium, which has helped many people and many families across my borough. And not only have we helped schools and hospitals, we've also helped normal people as well, working class people. We've helped taxi drivers, we've helped takeaway owners, where we've increased the income threshold to £10,000. Mm-hmm. Now, your question to me was, why have I gone into politics? People are familiar with my father. My father was the councillor for Dewsbury West for over 14 years. He was a mayor of Kirklees. And the reason why I've followed in his footsteps, it could be argued, is because we do not have a strong voice anymore. Now, look at the basics. We've had members of parliament coming into Dewsbury, in and out from different towns. My question is, we need a local person who understands the area itself. I look at the history. Let's look at 1992 when Ann Taylor was our Member of Parliament. After Ann Taylor, we had Shahid Malik. To be fair, Shahid tried his best. But to be fair, there were certain issues even Shahid passionately didn't fight for. After Shahid, we've had Simon Revell. And now I'm proud to say I'm the only local candidate in this election who's got a chance of winning. It's between myself, Paula, and Simon Revell, and I'm the only local candidate. And I'm proud to say I'm local because, with it being a local candidate, I understand the problems. And when I say I understand the problems, it's remember one thing: the services that Uncle Ayub uses and my brother Muhammad you use, I use the same services. The listeners, they use Dewsbury Hospital. Let me tell you, I was born in Dewsbury Hospital back in 1985. I'm only young, 29. I was born in Dewsbury Hospital. My wife was born in Dewsbury Hospital. My daughters were born in Dewsbury Hospital. And now when they're thinking of taking away Dewsbury Hospital, I've lost something inside me. And when I passionately talk about this is because to Ann Taylor, to Shahid Malik, to Simon Revell, they don't have these personal links that I have with this town. And I think that's the reason why I've gone into politics, is because I want to fight for the people of Dewsbury. We've got a proud town, and we need to live up to it. And then the thing is that there's quite a few things that's happened that makes me upset. Let me talk about locally. For example, locally, the thing that really upsets me is, remember Mohammed Sadiq Khan, the 7/7 bomber? We got labellised as the threat from Savile and Dewsbury. Let me tell you something. It was not even half, one little small fraction of a percent. Now, let me tell you something. Rather than putting all Muslims as terrorism, I think it was right that we teach education in mosques and schools. And do you know what? I get frustrated when I listen to the BBC and I listen to the radio stations and to TV stations who imply that Muslims are terrorists. Let me give them a scenario, and this is a scenario I have had many times. I said to them, they said to me, one of the BBC's representatives said to me, oh, well, off the record conversation, well, Muslims are terrorists. I said, no, let me tell you something. Your perception is wrong. Look at Jimmy Savile, for example. So look at Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile has... and I don't want to make groomed little girls for many years. So what they're implying, if we had our narrow mind like everyone else, we would imply that every white person was a groom kids. Yeah. We have to be sensible. And the way we have to be sensible, and the reason why I passionately talk about these things is because it affects me. Because remember one thing, I want to thank Mohammed Sayyid Zafar Shah Iqbal, who was one of the directors at Ummah Channel. And I worked with him very closely, and he says to me, Adnan, never forget your identity. He says, I call you my son, but never, my father to a son opinion is, Adnan, never forget your identity. And them words have stuck in my mind. Remember one thing, who I am. I will never forget who I am. If you forget who you are, you're never a person anymore. You're not a totally human being. Now, there's things that have affected me in the last a year or so that I feel very upset about. For example, let's look at Palestine. I'm not going to go to... in 2000...
what we'll do, we'll come on to that because I do want to open up the lines, and I know I've only got you until just after 9 o'clock, and we've got a few questions coming in. I know you want to ask a question as well. But we will get on to Palestine in a short while as well. Now then, listeners at home, as per the previous weeks, you can send in your questions via text or WhatsApp on 07460809218. The line is now open, so do send in your text or WhatsApps on that number 07460809218. If you've just tuned in, our guest this evening is Ednan Hussain, who is the Lib Dem candidate for Dewsbury. Now, Ayuba, I know you were signalling. Yeah, you got a question for Ednan?
I mean, first of all, Ednan, congratulations.
Thank you.
For being elected as parliamentary candidate for the Liberal Democrats for Dewsbury, Murfield, Denbydale and Kirkburton.
Yes, thank you.
Why did you choose to be a member of the Lib Dems? What attracts you to this particular party?
Liberal Democrats, it's based on equality. The meaning of liberal is liberalism. And let me give you a scenario. Back in 2008 and 2009, remember we had this issue about hijab, where Jack Straw said, in Jack Straw, the Member of Parliament for Blackburn said, I don't let women see me if they're wearing hijabs. And then we had our sister in Savile Town, who one of the head teachers told her to remove hijab. I don't know if you're familiar with the story. Yeah. Now, all the parliamentary candidates, all the councillors stood quiet. he affected directly, and I'm proud of my father for standing up. And my dad has never met this woman, but he said, if a woman can wear a miniskirt and walk on the streets, why can't another woman wear a hijab? And that's a passionately true. And I congratulate Nick Clegg, because Nick Clegg 3 days later echoed what my father said in Yorkshire Number. Now, the reality is, it's the way your question is, why have I joined Liberal Democrats? Liberal Democrats, I believe, give that, we live in a modern society where you should portray who you are, and that Liberal gives you that. Because the meaning liberal is liberal.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Ednan, you mentioned about Dewsbury Hospital. Yes. Now, the changes or the cuts that are taking place there at the moment. The Children's Assessment Unit is already in. Yeah. Children's Ward is essentially gone. It still exists, but it's not. There's no overnight stay there anymore. The A&E changes will be coming in very shortly, and the maternity will be turned to midwife-led very shortly as well. Now, you mentioned about fighting for this. What can you do if you come in? If people vote you in as their MP, what can you do to bring back these things into Dewsbury Hospital?
Right. You've made a brilliant statement. The reality is, let's look a bit deeper in why this has happened, why Dewsbury Hospital is moving. Dewsbury Hospital was a fantastic hospital. We had no debt. We were going fantastically well. Pinderfield, on the other hand, had millions of debt. Now, my original statement was, if you have a local contact, if you're local and if you've used them services, you will passionately fight for them services. Our members of parliament, it's argued, I'm not going to mention any names, but one of our other PPCs from another political party voted. Now she is saying that she's against the closure of Dewsbury Hospital. It's rumoured in the press newspaper that she voted for closure. And the reason why this happened was the Pinderfield member of parliament probably was stronger than the Dewsbury member of parliament, because what happened was, it doesn't make sense. Pinderfield had debt, Dewsbury had no debt. And somehow we're closing all our services and moving into Pinderfield. Your question is, what will I do? It's not going to happen overnight. I can't promise the world. I would love, because if I could do it, do you know what? I would do it. The reason why I would do it is because it benefits me the most, because I live local. What I would do is fight. I would fight to bring the services slowly back to Dewsbury. One by one services have moved from Dewsbury to Pinderfield. I would retract that. I would fight. And the reason why I would fight is because, do you know what? I won't do any favours for anyone else. I'm doing it. Basically, I live in Dewsbury. And if I need the hospital, I'll tell you something. I'll give you my own scenario, my family scenario. If something happens, for example, if I had to go to hospital, we've got 2 small daughters. My wife would not be able to come to Pinderfield every day. And I'm only giving you my example, and I think hundreds of people in Dewsbury and Batley share my opinion.
Right. As a local campaigner,
yes,
I know you feel very passionate about Dewsbury Hospital, yeah, and so we should. I mean, what have you done so far about this campaign? Have you joined any campaign? Have you raised any concerns in any particular places or any forums?
Fantastic question. The thing is, when we were campaigning, we were the only party back in there, the Liberal Democrats, that we were campaigning under my dad, my father. He campaigned very heavily to save Dewsbury Hospital at that time. I used Anne Taylor words, the Member of Parliament at the time, and she said, "You're scaremongering, Dewsbury Hospital will never close." And she wasn't even interested. Now, let's look at it. You're absolutely right. I've spoken. Obviously, initially, we've had meetings, we've done petitions. But the thing is, and this is what the ironic conversation me and Brother Mohammed were having before this show, the conversation was, until we don't have our person inside, it doesn't matter how many, you knock on doors, how many times, the people inside make the decisions. And when we get elected, then inshallah, and I promise, and to be fair, I'm not going to say to you, I'm doing a favour on the next person. I'm doing it for myself because I live this town.
Yeah, no, that's true. But the thing is, the Lib Dems are part of the coalition government. The final decision for these proposals to be accepted were accepted by the Health Secretary. Now, when they went down there, there was a scrutiny panel that referred the proposals to the Health Secretary. The Lib Dems are part of the government. What was done by the local Lib Dem party to ask the members of Parliament down there and your leader to actually reconsider these proposals?
Yeah, fantastic question, but let's look at a bit before that. The merger happened under the Labour government.
Yes, the merger happened under the Labour government. I appreciate that. Yeah, you've pointed that out, and I agree. And the PFI is a problem as well. The question is, what have you or the local Lib Dem party done? What steps did you take to try and stop these proposals from becoming cuts, which they have eventually become?
To be fair, these cuts, until we don't have a strong voice in the community, as a strong voice as a member of Parliament, you're absolutely right. The cuts were inevitable. When I say the word inevitable, it's because it is it was a member of Parliament, Simon Reeville's chance. Now, what we've done in Liberal Democrats, we've spoken to our health ministers, but to be fair, Simon, they refer back to Simon as our member of Parliament. And unfortunately, Simon hasn't done anything for Dewsbury Hospital. And in fact, he's singing the praises that he's happy that the Dewsbury Hospital is closing. I think I've read one of his articles where I think Paula Sharif and Simon were talking. Now, one thing you have to understand, yes, we are in a government, but we're in a coalition government. And in a coalition, it's best of both worlds. You have to make sacrifices in life.
What Simon Reeville is saying, and he said that on our radio last week, is that by taking the services to Pinderfield, you'll be saving more lives.
Well, I disagree with that. And the reason why I disagree with that is because Pinderfield was in a lot of debt. Remember that. Pinderfield was in millions of pounds in debt. We were not in debt. Dewsbury Hospital wasn't in debt. But why? Why wasn't Pinderfield closed and moved to Dewsbury? It would make more logic. It would have made more sense because they were in debt and we weren't in debt. But the reason why I say that is because we did not have a strong voice. And I can't emphasize the word about having a strong voice. Until we don't have strong representatives representing our people, I think that it's happened to Dewsbury Hospital. It's happening to Dewsbury Police Station. God knows what's going to happen next. I'm just concerned because if we carry on the way we're going to carry on,
yes.
I can give you another example. I went to the local schools, and when I was at a local school, we did a project in something I want to refer to as Dewsbury Town Centre, Dewsbury Market. We had coaches coming from Newcastle and Hull to Dewsbury Market. Now look at it. People from Batley and Huddersfield go to bigger towns like Leeds rather than coming to Dewsbury. It's because we're losing our identity.
Right. Okay. But the thing about it is, it still stands there, which is, you're right, the Lib Dems are the lesser entity in the coalition. I agree with you there. But they are part of the government. And at the end of the day, local people were protesting. You yourself are passionate about the saving Dewsbury Hospital. And we still end up in that same situation, same question, which is, what did the local Lib Dem party do to campaign and lobby their MPs in Parliament to to stop these cuts from coming in?
It's quite interesting you say that. A couple of weeks back, we had David Ward come back. He came to Dewsbury Hospital, but when the issue started, we talk about the Member of Parliament. We had Ed Davey. When my father originally heard the concerns of Dewsbury Hospital closing down, we called Ed Davey. Now, Ed Davey said local services should be kept locally. Now, recently, we've had David Ward come here. I'm going back 8 to 10 weeks. David Ward came here and he helped my campaign. And David Ward said exactly the same, echo what he's thinking of me. He's saying to him, he says, forget everything else. Let's look at the ideal person. When we say ideal person, we say the normal person. When, for example, a mother, a father, an uncle, aunt, let's look at their scenarios. Let's look at scenarios where a working mother has to travel to Pinderfield. Now it's £14 thereabout from Dewsbury to Pinderfield. whereas it's going to cost them £3. Now, let me give you a scenario. And the reality is what we have, and what I have done, is I've not stopped at home. I have not just thought about what issues there are. We've done something about it. I called my father called Ed David. I called David Ward, and I said to David, "What's the next plan?" We are working towards a plan. And do you know what? Until I get elected on May the 7th, inshallah, when I get elected on May the 7th, we will see the changes in Dewsbury Hospital. And can I really trust any of the PPCs that we've got? To be fair, will they benefit it as much as it benefits me? No, they won't. Because let me tell you something. In Dewsbury and Murfield and Denbydale and Kirkburton, I'm the only local candidate who, like I said, who's got a chance of winning. Now, I'm up against Paula Sherif, who's from Pontefract. Originally, she was from Scotland. And we've got Simon Revel. He's from Hull. The reality is, are they passionately about Dewsbury Hospital?
I think, Dan, you mentioned David Ward. He's the MP for Bradford East, I believe. I think he was quoted as saying that the Lib Dems will increase NHS spending by £8 billion if in government.
Yes.
But they are already partly in government. They haven't done it yet. But where are they going to find this kind of money?
Okay, this is it. We have to be sensible. Money, and I do in Labour things, and I use the word Labour because they joked about it when they left in 2000 government, and they joked saying that we've got no money left. And actually, genuinely, they put so much deficit in, it was scary. Now, I'll give you a scenario what we have done in Liberal Democrats in government.
The question was, where are the Lib Dems going to find £8 billion to fund the NHS? That's what David Ward was saying, that they will find they will increase NHS funding by £8 billion.
I was going to get to that point.
Okay.
The point is you work sensibly. And the reason why you work sensibly, look at this. The Labour Party, put billions of pounds into ID cards. And I'm going to talk about ID cards afterwards because that's something else that after the Dewsbury Hospital. We abolished ID cards. We saved some money from there. And where did we invest money? We invested more police, more bobbies on the beat. If we have the right cutbacks, then yes, we want to tax the higher earners. We want to tax the rich. That's where we in Conservative are falling out because that's why we're opposite sides, because obviously Conservatives look after the rich and we genuinely look after the working class. Now, if we can make the right cutbacks on other things, we can get the money for NHS. NHS is our pride, and we should never forget that. And
sorry, Ednan, you mentioned about tax cuts. Taxing the rich as such. Lib Dems did come in with the whole fairer policy. However, in the budget debate of 2012, the Lib Dems voted with the Tories Lib Dems voted with the Tories in the budget debate 2012, which introduced a tax cut for millionaires by cutting the top rate of income tax. That's in a Hansard Hansard write-up. Not really what you've said there.
No, the thing is, as a part of a coalition.
But the thing is, realistically, we are looking at because we from all the indications that we're getting so far, there's no one single party that's going to be an outright winner.
Absolutely.
And so we are looking at a coalition, and the Lib Dems are seated there. That, to be quite honest with you, they've worked with the Conservatives and they could work with the Labour Party as well. But in either case, they are likely to be, if they are the coalition member, they are likely to be the lesser seated coalition member. That being the case, the Lib Dems say this is what we'll do if we have total and utter power. Surely the Lib Dems, if they want to have the trust of the public, when the public are looking at this, they should turn around and say, well, if we're in a coalition, because that's going to be more likely, this is what we are going to deliver.
Right, okay. It's a question now where ifs and buts here. The one thing I'm going to say is let's look at in 2010 and let's look at coalition. Why did we join Conservatives in 2010? That's a question that everyone's asking me on the doorstep. And I'll tell you, we always, Nick Clegg and Danny Alexander, Simon Hughes always said, whoever's the largest party, we will negotiate with them.
Yeah.
There was no outright winner in 2010. And guess what? As we promised, we had a debate, we had a meeting with the largest party at that time was the Conservative Party. We also had a meeting with Gordon Brown and his Labour Party. We had to find out which party we could work with. Now, the decision to work with the Conservative is because Conservative gave some of our policies, whereas the Labour Party refused on certain policies. Now, when we talk about policies and when we talk about us being a lesser party, do you know what? In an ideal world, we want to run for government. We've done it. We've helped the working class. We've increased the income threshold by £10,000. We've scrapped the ludicrous idea by the Labour Party about the ID cards that cost the taxpayer the billions of pounds. We've done certain sacrifices. Certain benefits. We've helped single mums by offering people premium. We've helped free school meals, to determine that every child has a free meal, he has a free hot meal. It doesn't matter which background they come from, at least they have one hot free meal. We've done certain things in government. Your question about in next government, do you know what? In an ideal world, we want to run it by ourselves. We want to be the sole party. If we have to come to a coalition, again, we will have to sit on the table and we have to negotiate our policies.
Yes, but this is the question, you see, because what you mentioned there about David Ward, what he mentioned about the 8 billion, right? Okay, now the 8 billion now. People have heard 5 years ago, people heard Nick Clegg turn around and say he would scrap tuition fees. That didn't happen.
Okay.
What happened was he had to give an apology. Now, this is the problem, you see, because when the Lib Dems are putting a policy forward, if we have total control of a government, we will do X, Y, and Z. People are reading between the lines and saying, well, you don't really mean that.
Okay. Your question about tuition fees, and let me answer that question. Tuition fees vaguely started. Tuition fees was the Labour Party that initially said we will not going to have any tuition fees, and then they put it up to 3,000, and then they put the tuition fees. Now, we negotiated and we benefited the students, and I tell you why we benefited the students at universities is because what we said to them was, you only have to earn more than £21,000 to pay back the tuition fees. Under the Labour Party, it was £15,000. So what we have done, yes, in a government, in coalition, you have to compromise. We've compromised, but we've got a better deal for the students.
It was increased by 3 times.
No, but the students, you only have to pay if you earn over £21,000, then you have to pay.
Okay, question that's just come in. Salam's good program. My question is, should the government abolish tuition fees?
It's a fantastic question. If Liberal Democrats were in government by themselves and we weren't in any part, we still stick by our manifesto, we would have abolished the tuition fees because it's free education for everyone. Your education shouldn't be based on where your mum and dad passes you down. It should be on an individual. If he can go into university, I think money should be out of it at the moment. I think it should be free education, and that is a Lib Dem policy, and that's what we instead.
Yeah, Nick Clegg he's actually said we can't do it anymore. He pledged at before the last election that if they came in, they would abolish the tuition fees. And that was still the pledge when he was as part of the coalition government. Lib Dem have not been able to do that. And Nick Clegg has actually apologised now.
What Nick Clegg said was, I read the interview. Now, the reality is if we want in a coalition, now we have to be sensible here. But, But I'm a firm believer of free education. And many member of parliaments like me for the Liberal Democrats still believe in having free education.
Okay, some more questions that have come in. Assalamu alaikum, questions for Ednan Hussain. Do you support academies? Why? What is your argument for your stance? So 3 questions. Do you support academies? Why do you support if you do support academies, then why? I'm presuming this person's heard you or spoke to you already at some point.
Which particular academies is he referring to?
School academies, I think. Turning schools into academies?
Yeah, I think, to be fair, it's... I do support school academies, and the reason why is because you learn a lot of things, the school academies. And, what it benefits the children. Now, I'm grateful for the Liberal Democrats, what we have done in government. We have done 2 billion new apprenticeships, and that's helped. And the academies, if we can develop on that, that'll be great.
Do you understand the concept behind academies, Adnan?
Yes, I do.
Do you know how they're actually organised? How are academies organised and how are they funded?
Just 1 second.
Because the counter-argument for academies is that you're giving more power to the school and the governors and to possibly the head teacher and not the local authority.
Okay.
That's a counter-argument for academies.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right, because the reason why the thing is the best person that can make the decision is the person that the head teachers and the governors. And the reason why they can make the best decision is because it's their school, they understand it. It's like when I first initially said was that someone who lives in the town understands the town, being a local person. With the academy, with the local head teachers and with the local governors, they will have the best interest of the school because they understand the school. Because remember, one school will be different. The school might be, I'll give you a scenario. We've got 2 schools on Temple Road. We've got St. Florence and Booth Road. 2 schools, but local authorities will look at it as the same concept, but they're 2 different schools. And the best person that can make them decisions in them schools will be the head teachers and the governors.
Okay. We're going to take a very quick break, inshallah ta'ala, because, this is the election special on Radio IMWS. It is Friday, the 6th of March. Our special guest today is Mr. Ednan Hussain, who is the Lib Dem candidate for Dewsbury. You can ask Adnan a question on 07460809218 via text or WhatsApp. We're going to take a break. Be right back with you just after this. Online and on your home receiver, you're listening to Radio IMWS. Join the women-only over 50s elderly lunch club every Monday from 12 p.m. till 3 p.m. at the Al Hikmah Center. Enjoy a meal in the company of friends as well as gentle exercise routines, including the use of treadmills and exercise bikes. That's the over 50s elderly lunch club every Monday from 12 p.m. till 3 p.m. at the Al Hikmah Center on 28 Track Road, Batley, WF177AA. For more information, call 01924 500 555. Reach your customers through our radio, magazines and website with competitive rates advertising on Radio IMWS, Pegam, An-Nisa and the IMWS website could give your business the boost it deserves. For more details, email info@imws.org.uk or call 01924 500 555. It is related by Sayyidina Anas radiyallahu anhu that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when a man marries, he has completed half of his religion, so let him fear Allah regarding the remaining half. The Al-Hikmah Nikah service launched by the IMWS aims to introduce prospective marriage partners to help fulfill this important aspect of faith. The service is open to unmarried Muslims who are permanent residents of the UK. For more information, visit our website at www.imws.org.uk. Radio IMWS. Welcome back to Radio IMWS, broadcasting live from the Al Hikmah Center in Batley, West Yorkshire. Now then, if you, this is the election special, and we do have Mr. Ednan Hussain in the chair, who is the Lib Dem candidate for Dewsbury. Number for questions for text or WhatsApp 07460809218. And now then, we have just got a question come in. I've got this. Can Adnan please explain what academies are and what is the Lib Dems policy on academies?
We've explained that.
We've just done that, have we?
Yeah. And if you want me to retract that, what I've said is about the head teachers and the governors having more authorities because they can understand the schools rather than the local education authorities. And the reason why I say that is, let me give you a personal example. We've got on Temple Road on Dewsbury, we've got 2 schools, and we've got Booth Road and St. Linus. Now, for local education authority, they'll be very similar, but they are very, very different schools. So I think the best person who can make the decision would be a head teacher and the governors. And that's my first point when we start having this conversation is...
Yeah, but aren't you then taking the power away from the professionals who actually know the trade?
Well, the argument is let me give you a scenario. Let's look at Dewsbury, and let's look at Batley and Dewsbury. We have people telling us how to run our town. Like, for example, you've got a fantastic office here. If I had come to your office and said, well, let's move this chair to there and let's move this desk and there, and I think I'll give you your best opinion, I can't, because you've used this office longer than I have. You're going to tell me to politely get out of the door, pretty much. And that's the thing, that you have to be sensible. And that's the reason why whenever I've spoken to people, we have to be sensible that we need to have the right people looking after it. Now, the head teacher and the local governors are the best people, because remember, local governors, most of their children go to that school. And
the other part of the question was, what are the Lib Dems policy about academies? Do they believe it's a good thing, or do they think it's okay to hand some of the power over to businesses like Tesco's, for instance, who will actually fund the academies?
We believe in academies. We definitely believe in academies, because obviously we believe the power should be given to the head teachers.
Yeah, but some of the power rests with businesses, because they actually fund.
It should be.
That's what the concept behind academies are.
You have to remember one thing, that we believe that the head teachers and the local governors, because remember one thing, education is our number one priority, and that's has always been. It'll never happen, and that we never change our education. Let's remember something about academies. Do you know what? If we give the right education to our children, inshallah, tomorrow they'll be our leaders. And to be fair, whatever education we give them, they can fight for Britain. And that's something that we have to be very sensible about.
Now, what was wrong with the system before the academies?
It's because people, for example, like I give you the example is where there were where the local education authority made decisions, sometimes right decisions, sometimes wrong decisions. But I think where the money needs to be spent, and I think the head teacher and the governors should be able to make that decision.
Don't you think it's a bit dangerous to give all the power to one person?
No, I don't think it's dangerous. I think because if you've employed in the first place, if the head teacher is the right person that you've employed, but who genuinely cares about the school, I think it's a great decision.
Because one example that comes to our mind is, there's a campaign going on with a school in your sort of a constituency, or what would be in your constituency if you were elected, that the head teacher is not allowing Muslim pupils to pray their prayers on Fridays.
Well, actually, the issue is actually that before the summer holidays, there was a room in which the boys were saying their Dhuhr Salah on a daily basis, and of course during the part of the time they've got to pray their Asr there as well. And what happened is the musallas were thrown out, and we've seen images of these boys going out and praying in the snow. Now, as everybody says, isn't that a case of?
If you had more power of the local authority, they would actually intervene in situations like that.
This is where we have to draw the line. This head teacher, there should be no. We live in a liberal society. This is discrimination. If this ever happened, and I'll tell you something. If I was elected member of parliament, and do you know what? I've worked with massive corporations, and not one corporation I pray, and my colleagues pray at work, and none of them I've worked with. I'm not going to name corporation, but the big corporations I've worked with, and none of them have stopped us to pray.
Yes, but the question here is that this is an area where the head teacher has the final say on this matter. It's not resting with anybody else, because by law she doesn't have to give a room for these boys to say their salah.
I think we should.
The question here is, it's a wider question here. What Ayuba is asking here is, with that much power that head teacher possesses, that head teacher can adamantly say no. Now, in academies, that head teacher has got a lot of power.
Yes, but the power also stays with governors as well. And this is where we have to. It works both ways. Remember one thing. There's in any life there's positives and negatives, but one thing you have to stress is, my argument is, if I was elected member of parliament, I would myself hold a meeting with this teacher, because I think it's more down to education and training. And she might be a head teacher, but she cannot discriminate students like that. I think it's ridiculous and prosperous that we're living in this liberal country, and we're still having these kind of things. Now, I feel frustrated, because how dare I understand the question. I totally understand the question and the principle, but there should be a line where, and I think this head teacher has crossed the line and has crossed all the limits, and I think that's where she needs to be stopped and she needs to be intervened. But who she gets intervened? She can get intervened by the city member of parliament. She can be intervened by the local community leaders where they have a meeting with her.
Right. Okay, education seems to be a hot topic this evening. You can send your questions in about any of the issues, if you're any of the issues, local or national. Our guest today is the Lib Dem candidate for Dewsbury, Ednan Hussain. Text or WhatsApp your questions to 07460809218. And then I've got another question that's come in here. Right. Okay. What is your views about the Trojan horse issue? What's your views on the Trojan horse?
My views on Trojan horse.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Trojan horse.
The Trojan horse scandal, where it was the Birmingham school, wasn't it?
School, yes.
The Birmingham school. There was a letter printed in the Daily Mail, which drew suspicion on the school of creating extremism or promoting extremism.
I read it on Facebook, but I wasn't when it's clicked.
Yeah.
Remember, again, it comes down to education. Now, I think what happens is that they need to be sensible. When this letter took out, I was gobsmacked when I read the bits of the letter, because on Facebook it was only I have not read the full letter, and I've not read the full context of the letter. But the brief I read, I was upset because this is the country that we live in, and these are things that are happening to our students. I think it needs to be stopped, and I think when we talk about it, I think this is a serious effect, and this is why I would go as far as saying, as a Muslim, and I will never forget my identity, I would say if we are getting scrutinized by the media, I think this person needs to get scrutinized. I also believe that because she's stirring up, I think she should be questioned by the police.
Okay, the Trojan horse scandal. What happened was obviously the letter was published in the Daily Mail. Later found to be a red herring. It wasn't an authentic letter. All that took place, but the thing is, the government did initiate an investigation based upon this letter. What did the Lib Dems do?
We said that this letter needs to be investigated.
It wasn't the letter. It was, as Muhammad said, the letter was actually anonymous. Nobody knew who wrote the letter.
But it instigated months of this. The investigation.
The letter was actually accusing a number of schools in the Birmingham area about promoting some extremism. Now I'm putting that in inverted commas, right? And then following from that, there was a huge sort of media outcry, and the government and Ofsted started scrutinizing schools, particularly sort of schools where there were quite a lot of Muslim pupils, and they carried out on-the-spot investigations in many schools, across the country. That's the context of the Trojan horse issue. Now, like Muhammad asked, where were the Lib Dems when this was happening? Right. And what were they doing?
Can I just read a message out? Adnan, we've made it a rule that whoever sends in whatever message, as long as there's no offensive words inside it, we do read it out. So this is the first part is actually a bit of a comment. Ednan Hussain, where have you been living if you're unaware of the Trojan horse scandal? The listener goes on to add, how can the public have faith in a candidate who's so unaware of such a major issue like this and claim to know education?
You're right, and the viewers are right.
Yeah.
I was aware of the Trojan horse, the scandal, but it didn't click, because obviously
it is a very nerve-wracking place in the studio.
Yes.
So if the listener comes in, I'm sure the listener will be aware. But go on, carry on with what I asked about.
To be fair, it's let's look back about extremism, and the terrorism. Now, let's be honest here. After what happened in 9/11, in America, when we started pointing fingers at people, and this is where it's all started. It's the media hype about extremism and terrorism. And the reality is, we, the Liberal Democrats, have said that it needs to be investigated. And we believe that it needs to be investigated because, and I'll tell you something about this extremism, it's all about to do with education. Now, when I say to you is about how when Mohammed Sadiq Khan, when the bomber allegedly was announced that it was from Dewsbury. Now, one thing I have to say is we have to tell people about schools. We have to educate schools and to cover. Unless there's any prior examples of this extremism taking place, I think this is just another media hype.
Okay. We've got another question that's come in. What's your view on the prevent strategy? The prevent... And we had the other one, which we might as well take as well, which is the, your view on the, just bear with me a moment. I know I kept this. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. What are your views on the CTS, the Counter-terrorism and Security Bill that's just gone through? So these are both. Oh, you need to. Okay, no problem. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Listeners, you can send in your questions to 07460 809-218. We're going to take a break. We will be right back with you. Online and on your home receiver, you're listening to Radio IMWS.
If it's haram, then we'll get lots of guna.
Yeah.
It's not even 1% guna, it's like 100%.
This is the Kids Zone on sunny Sunday afternoon, mashallah.
Isn't it so funny how we all walk around, never even thinking of the dead under the ground. Coming to IMWS, turn right and come into the Kids Zone. Read us a story, tell us a joke, do qiraat, a nasheed, a nazam or a naat.
If you get this right, you will be known as the first ever Radio IMWS Sunnah of Sleeping Champions.
To don't sleep, Niya Asr and Maghrib.
MashaAllah. The Kids Zone, every Sunday 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. only on Radio IMWS. Join the discussion on Radio IMWS every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday from 8 p.m. Topics include Islam, current affairs, health, legal, education and a weekly program delivered in Gujarati. You can join in by calling the studio on 01924 505 629 or send us a text or WhatsApp on 07460 809 218. For program schedules, visit www.imws.org.uk. If you would like to volunteer and be part of the Radio IMWS team, email radio@imws.org.uk or call 01924 500 555.
Special offer. Hire the Al Hikmah halls from Monday to Wednesday for just £28 plus VAT per hall. For more information, call 01924 500 555.
Bookings need to be a minimum of 2 hours and need to be booked 3 weeks in advance. Radio IMWS. Welcome back to Radio IMWS, broadcasting live from the Al Hikmah Centre in Batley, West Yorkshire. Now then, this is the election special, and our guest this evening is Mr. Ednan Hussain, who is the Lib Dem candidate for Dewsbury. Ednan's just popped out for a moment. He will be back with us very, very shortly, inshallah. In the meantime, Ayub bhai, I'm going to bring you in because next week we have got a very special program for our listeners.
What is that, Mohammed? Remind me, please.
I will do.
I'm only the chair of our Radio IMWS.
Next week, we don't have a candidate in the studio intentionally. Next week is going to be a listeners' week. We will address it again a little bit later. It's going to be an opportunity for our listeners to be able to message in, phone in, call in, and let us know what they think of the candidates and what's been discussed so far over the last 5 weeks.
That sounds really fantastic, and I hope listeners will actually take up the opportunity to either phone in or text in their messages and join in with the debate and the discussions.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I want to add to that is that we are happy to have people come into the studio as guests.
Ask, yes.
So, but obviously we need to make sure that people do get an opportunity. So what we're asking for is, inshallah ta'ala, if you would like to be a guest on the day for a period of time, inshallah, then all you have to do is give our office a call on 01924 500 555 during normal working hours, or you can email radio@imws.org.uk. Now, we would love to accommodate as many people as possible, but we also don't want you to be disappointed, hence the reason why we're asking. But you will be able to, because depending on the weather, it's going this way and that way at the moment, you will still be able to participate in the program through the telephone and the text and WhatsApp, inshallah.
So all those armchair politicians.
Yes.
Here's the chance.
Yep. If you think you could do better, you've heard the candidates and their views and their opinions on various policies. It's your opportunity to put them right.
Absolutely. And we'd like to hear listeners' views on the debate on the election and on politics in general.
Yes, we do.
And also, I think we need to gauge what we as a community want out of our candidates.
Yes. Yes, I think so. I think what we're looking at, we're looking at a lot of areas, mashallah, where as a community and a local community, there are various issues which are localized to us. Various things like the Dewsbury Hospital, like the Battling Library or the Dewsbury Library or the local police force, etc. The local things that matter to us, local buildings and places that matter to us, local services that matter to us. And then we have the second part, which are national policies that affect us. And it's important to take this time to actually reflect and, inshallah ta'ala, try and communicate with the future MPs on the issues that matter to us, and then, inshallah ta'ala, over the coming years, make sure that our politicians do deliver. Now, we have, inshallah ta'ala, spoken to a number of the candidates, and we have asked them that, inshallah ta'ala, following the election, the MPs who are elected, we will be asking them to, inshallah ta'ala, come in on regular basis into the studio, so that local people can, inshallah ta'ala, ask questions and find out what's happening on the political scale, what's happening on local issues, and what's happening on national issues, and a chance for the general public to be able to, inshallah ta'ala, talk to their MP. Okay, we're going to take another break. We will be back with you very, very shortly. Online and on your home receiver, you're listening to Radio IMWS. Join the women-only over 50s elderly lunch club every Monday from 12 p.m. till 3 p.m. at the Al Hikmah Center. Enjoy a meal in the company of friends, as well as gentle exercise routines, including the use of treadmills and exercise bikes. That's the over 50s elderly lunch club every Monday from 12 p.m. till 3 p.m. at the Al Hikmah Center on 28 Track Road, Batley, WF177AA. For more information, call 01924 500 555. Reach your customers through our radio, magazines and website with competitive rates advertising on Radio IMWS, Pegam, An-Nisa and the IMWS website could give your business the boost it deserves. For more details, email info@imws.org.uk or call 01924 500 555. It is related by Sayyidina Anas radiallahu anhu that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when a man marries, he has completed half of his religion, so let him fear Allah regarding the remaining half. The Al-Hikmah Nikah service launched by the IMWS aims to introduce prospective marriage partners to help fulfill this important aspect of faith. The service is open to unmarried Muslims who are permanent residents of the UK. For more information, visit our website at www.imws.org.uk. Radio IMWS. Online and on your home receiver, you're listening to Radio IMWS.
if it's haram, then we'll get lots of guna.
Yeah.
It's not even 1% guna, it's like 100%.
This is the Kids Zone on sunny Sunday afternoon, mashallah.
Isn't it so funny how we all walk around, never even thinking of the day under the ground? Come to IMWS, turn right and come into the Kids Zone. Read us a story, tell us a joke, do qiraat, a nasheed, a nazam or naat.
If you get this right, you will be known as the first ever Radio IMWS Sunnah of Sleeping Champions.
To don't sleep, Aniya, Asr and Maghrib.
Mashallah. The Kids Zone, every Sunday 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. only on Radio IMWS. Join the discussion on Radio IMWS every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday from 8 p.m. Topics include Islam, current affairs, health, legal, education and a weekly program delivered in Gujarati. You can join in by calling the studio on 01924 505 629 or send us a text or WhatsApp on 07460 809 218. For program schedules, visit www.imws.org.uk. If you would like to volunteer and be part of the Radio IMWS team, email radio@imws.org.uk or call 01924 500 555.
Special offer. Hire the Al Hikmah halls from Monday to Wednesday for just £28 plus VAT per hall. For more information, call 01924 500 555.
Bookings need to be a minimum of 2 hours and need to be booked 3 weeks in advance.
Radio IMWS.
Welcome back to Radio IMWS, broadcasting live from the Al Hikmah Centre in Batley, West Yorkshire. Sorry, this is the election special. I'm joined in the studio, of course, with my co-host Ayub Bhai, mashallah. Ayub Bhai, how do you think the election specials have gone so far?
I think there have been a lot of interest in the programs. We've had lots of good response, lots of text messages and questions for our guests.
Yeah.
Which is really sort of a really good sign.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it will get move from strength to strength, and I'm looking forward to the next few weeks as we go towards the run-up to the election itself.
Yeah. I mean, one thing to cover, of course, is the make sure you are registered to vote. Now then, you can...
Yeah, just explain a little bit about this registration process, Mohammed, because I'm not too sure if all our listeners will be aware of what they need to do.
Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, you're telling
asking
me.
you.
It's actually quite easy.
Most people will be already on the register.
Yes, most people will be on the register. What this register is basically particular people like students who are living away from home, people who had moved house recently, etc., may not be on the register. So there are certain key areas. So first of all, if you are on the register, the likelihood is you've already received something through the post to say these people are registered. But you can check online. But if you type in register to vote.gov, you will in Google you will get the website that you need to go onto. You can type in there and you can find out if you are registered. If you're not registered, then everything is in there. You can, inshallah ta'ala, from that link, you can, inshallah, from that page, inshallah ta'ala, we'll explain to you what you need to do if you're not registered to vote. Now, you've got until the 20th of April. Now, earlier today, there were in the masjid, you will have found all these leaflets. So, inshallah ta'ala, you should be able to find the leaflets and see what needs to be done for that.
How do they check if they're actually already registered?
They can check, I believe, by their postcodes.
Just by going online and by using the postcode,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Adnan, sorry. Adnan is back with us. Just let me get the phone. Sorry, the listeners, we do have... Adnan, we were just talking about the voter registration.
You've mentioned it. They've got the deadline at April. They can register it online, or they can ring up and register it as well. But it's online is the best option.
Yeah.
You mentioned before we took a break. We took a small break about the Counter-terrorism and Security Act 2015.
Yeah.
Now I want to just read what was passed and then I'll talk about it. If that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that okay?
Of course, yeah.
A bill to make... Now, this was summary of the Counter-terrorism and Security Act 2015. It's a bill to make provision in relation to terrorism, to make provision about retention of communication data, about information authority to carry and security in relation to air, sea and rail transport, and about reviews by the Special Immigration Appeals Commission against refusal to issue certificates of naturalization and for connected purposes. Now, when I listen to him, I'm concerned, and do you know why I'm concerned a bit? Is because remember the ID cards that I took out when the Labour government planned to take ID cards out. Now I know you wasted billions of pounds of money, but let's put that to one side for a second. ID cards was discriminating. Now we would get discriminated. Now let me be honest with you. How many times do we forget our wallets home? Now anyone walking down the street with Muslim who were walking down the street with a beard, the police had the right to ask him for his ID cards, and if not, they could detain him and arrest him. Now I think that was discrimination, and that would discriminate our community. Now I think we have to be sensible here. And I think the government has to work closely with. I encourage. I'm really impressed by the work that my brothers and sisters, the mosque leaders and the women who are working in Dewsbury. They've done a fantastic job. Now they need to work very closely with the government to take this threat of terrorism out. Now when we had these ID cards. Yeah. And, the plan of the Labour Party, again, I felt this was discrimination. And the reason why I felt it was discrimination was because, let me give you a scenario. One day, you come out of gym, or you go to your friends, you leave your wallet at home. Mm. The police walking down the street, they could stop you. Where's your ID card? Now, if you don't have the ID card, the police could arrest you. Now, do you seriously think that the police would stop a non-Muslim? They would stop Muslim. And the question about...
To be fair, I think the issue is not about ID cards, because nobody is expected to have their ID card. It's not law. The implications for the CTS bill, right, it's just gone through Parliament. The Lib Dem government didn't oppose it. Mm-hmm. They actually supported it, like all the other parties.
Cross-party support,
right? Now, what are the implications for this CTS bill, particularly for Muslims? And, why wasn't there a voice within the Lib Dems opposing it?
Well,
like you said, it's a cross-party thing.
Mm.
And, sorry.
No, carry on, sorry.
And do you know what? I think I was impressed by one of the Maulanas. He made a speech, and he was relating to the issue of Palestine, and he was saying that we can have 10 million people on the streets, protesting, but until we don't have our own people in government, until we don't have our people that affect us directly, and remember one thing, and I'm not here to ask for your vote, so I'm not here to say to people vote Liberal Democrats or what. I ask vote for the right individual. Now my concerns are going to be the concerns that are shared in your room. Because remember one thing, who am I? And that's the question now, who am I? I'm a Muslim. First of all, I'm a Muslim, and second of all, I'm from Dewsbury. You should never forget your identity. If it affects the Muslim world, do you know what? It's going to affect me. And this is the reason why, until we don't have our own voices, and this is a cross-party thing that we look at, can we really, really seriously is there anyone from the Labour or the Conservatives that are going to do it? Now, for example, look at the Labour, Ed Miliband, and I call him, my language, I call him Joke Miliband at times, because let's look at the Palestine issue, when what happened was, when them 4 children were killed on the beach playing football, the Channel 4, and I congratulate Channel 4, because the Channel 4 came out and said, do you know what, they questioned the Israelis, saying, what, were they a threat to you? And they were saying, no, well, we call them a threat. One thing, I was shocked. I know Israel, I don't want to go down that topic because it's a live radio show and I want to control my language about Israel. But one thing I am going to say is, I just don't believe what Ed Miliband had come out and said the following day. And I hope you've read the Daily Telegraph interview where he read, I don't know if you're familiar with the Daily Telegraph interview, where he came out the following day and he said, I'm a proud Zionist. I will be the first Jewish Prime Minister and Israel needs to defend himself. How do they have to defend themselves killing innocent children? That's the reason why if Ed Miliband can look after his own community of what he portrays, am I any different?
Okay, but the question still lies. I mean, you've mentioned David Ward, who's a very strong supporter of Palestine, has done a lot of campaigning as an individual. Is fantastic. But the Lib Dems have been in a coalition for the past 5 years. What moves has the Lib Dem done to actually recognise Palestine as a state unconditionally?
Okay. The thing is, David Ward's not the only member of parliament. There was another lady in Brighton. I was a member of parliament. She said something similar to what David Ward said. Remember one thing, what Liberal Democrats have always said is that the Palestine should be recognised.
Yeah.
Because what the atrocity, the life that's happened, the death that's happening in Palestine is unimaginable. The reason why I strongly believe what David Ward, and David Ward is not the only Liberal Democrat who said it, and I congratulate David because it takes a lot of guts to come out and speak. Now, it wouldn't take me much for guts because I am who I am, to be fair. I'm, first of all, but one thing I was surprised is you've read the media, you've read the news. Every Jewish soldier got killed, he was named. But there's thousands of innocent Palestinians that were getting killed on that day. And do you know what? We the Liberal Democrats, we believe that there should be no danger to life. Israel has to control itself.
So what did the Lib Dems do as a part of the coalition to put pressure on Israel to stop these attacks and the building of illegal settlements?
I think you've answered that question yourself with David Ward.
No, but David Ward is not... David Ward is backbench MP. David Ward raised his voice, as did Mike Wood for the Labour Party. And the Lib Dems have been raising their voice about Palestine whilst they were in opposition. But Lib Dems for the past 5 years have not been in opposition. They have been part of the government.
We've had conversations. I think if you listen to Nick Legg's interview, Nick Legg said to him, he says, this is life astrophacies. It's catastrophic that there's innocent children getting killed. And he said that he condemns it seriously, and you have to remember one thing. It's like we talk about the Liberal Democrats. We were the only party to oppose Iraq, if you remember. We were the only party that we opposed Iraq, and then at that time Tony Blair still took us to war. We can't forget things like that. But we in government we have put brakes on, as much as obviously David Cameron and George Osborne. We've put brakes on them to control them.
Right. Okay. David.
Right, okay. I think we've covered Palestine quite a lot, haven't we, really?
Yeah.
And I like your passion about your feeling and your passion, for
I think you are the most passionate. I think you're the most passionate candidate we've had. That's for sure.
No, it's quite ironic you say that, because when you're passionate, it comes from your heart. It comes from your heart. And yes, I might not be perfect, and I'll put your hands up, and every single that policy that's been passed, I might not be familiar with it. And you know what? I'll put my hands up and say, do you know what? It's a learning curve for me as well. But it comes with experience. But one thing I will say, and I say to them, have the time to go out and vote for the right candidate. Because if you remember May the 7th, you need a strong voice. People at Dewsbury do need a strong voice. We've talked about Palestine, and it comes from my heart. I was in tears. I was actually tears dropping my eyes when I was watching one of the broadcasts on the TV station, when my father said he had 2 daughters, and the bombs were flying over, and the daughters was shaking. And this is the interview, and the father had the tears, and my tears came out my face and my eyes, and he said the daughters were saying, "Daddy, we're scared. Daddy, we're scared," and he's saying, "It'll be okay, knowing that this could be the last time that their daughters hug. And I tell you something, and how passionate you are or whatever you are, no human should ever go through that. And I'm a father of two daughters. I couldn't only imaginable the scenarios that were going through my head. We just have to feel for people in Palestine. And it's not only Palestine. Let's look at other places. Let's look at Iraq. Let's look at Afghanistan. These are the Muslim countries and look at Pakistan and India. There are certain places where, these catastrophic things that are happening that need to be stopped. And do you know what? I personally believe that if we have a strong voice who can fight for these values, can actually do it in government.
Adnan, what are your feelings about young people going into Syria to fight the so-called ISIS?
Well, it comes down to education. Now, my opinion is that they need to have, the word. It's a big word, the terrorism, and if you ask these youngsters, most of them won't understand that the terrorism was actually in IRA. They started with the IRA. Now, one thing, my opinion on that is these youngsters need to be educated.
But they're quite clever. I mean, some of these people, the 3 girls who went to Syria allegedly,
the
some of the brightest,
science teacher who was sentenced yesterday for 4 years.
And do you know why this is happening? It's because we are not doing enough. The British government are not doing enough to stop them. Now, when I say to stop...
Well, Adnan, sorry, hold on a second. Hold on. The British government are not doing enough. But the thing is, your party is half of the government. Not half, okay, fair 30%. Enough. It's 40% or 30% of the government. But the fact of the matter is, the Lib Dems are part of the government. They're sitting on that side of the house. Should they or should they not? If you feel that the government are not doing enough, then should the Lib Dems not be doing more?
There's always reason to do more. When I was referring back that the British government are not doing enough, is because I personally believe, and this could be misjudged, the answer that I was giving was, for example, if the British government played a fair and sustainable price to everyone, irrelevant our Muslim brothers, they wouldn't be going to Syria. If Syria and if for example, if Palestine, if the British government turned around and said, enough is enough, Israel, enough is enough, then do you know what? If we put pressure on, but to be fair, it's quite ironic, because the thing that really frustrates me is we sit here, we have the conversation, nothing gets done about it. We need a strong chance, and I tell you something, I'm. People say to me, you're very similar to George Galloway. I've got different views than George Galloway, but there are similarities between me and George. And the thing is, we're both passionate, as you can see. I think there's the biggest compliment you gave me early on when I said you're the podcast. You are the passionate, and by far. And the reason why I'm passionate is because my concerns are your concerns. Remember that. Whatever you guys are feeling, I'm feeling the same pain. In fact, I'm feeling more pain because I think, do you know what? I want to get there and I want to make a difference. The thing is, the people say to me, you've got the Muslim war, you need war. I don't campaign for the Muslim war.
Just to get back to the question again, we're talking about, people going to Syria to fight for whatever reasons. And we asked about your views on that, and, what should we, as a Muslim community, B, as, political leaders in your case, and in your party's case, should be doing about this?
I think I've answered that question, but in the sense that the British government, obviously, if they played a fair rule,
if their foreign policy
was a fair rule, then if these are going, then that's a different matter. But the thing is, the foreign policy, I mean, you're talking about government again, and the Lib Dems are doing this at the moment, and we've at a national level as well. Because the thing is, no one can ignore the fact, and no one can look beyond it, that the Lib Dems are blaming the government for what the condition is in. But Lib Dems are part of the government. We're the smaller party in the government.
But they are still part of the government. They're not the opposition.
No, you're right.
And the reason what you mentioned earlier, the reason why the Lib Dems joined the Conservatives is because they felt that more of their policies would come through with the Conservatives rather than Labour. That's why they chose that side.
What actually happened was, and I'll tell you, that it was something similar what you've just said, but what I said was the Liberal Democrats chose to work with the Conservative Party because we said initially, in an ideal world, and I repeat what Nick Clegg said, in an ideal world, we don't want to work with the Conservatives, we don't want to work with Labour, we want to govern ourselves. But if we have to come into coalition, we will work with the biggest party. The largest, we won't work with them, we'll give them the first refusal. And then what actually happened was we had a meeting with, I think it was William Hague, George Osborne, had a meeting with Chris Huhne and Danny Alexandra. Then we had a meeting with the Labour people as well. Now, the one thing you have to remember is, yes, we have a lot of our policies have been passed under, the Liberal Democrats in government.
But you know what? Some of the commentators are saying that as a result of, then sort of a passive role in the government, they've actually lost a lot of popularity. They're not going to win the next election, they're saying.
Well, that's...
And they may not even have the same number of parliamentarians as the
Because last time, a lot of people trusted the Lib Dems, particularly on the whole issue of abolishing student loans. Yeah. There was a lot of publicity around there. And at that time, people trusted the Lib Dems. Now, the Lib Dems came in as part of the coalition, and we ended up seeing a massive rise in tuition fees. The Lib Dems are coming out and saying, if we are the single government, we will do X, Y, and Z. And people are saying, well, we know there's not going to be a single government. We know that if the Lib Dems do go onto that side of the house, then it's going to be in a coalition. So the Lib Dems are hedging their bets and saying, right, this is what we'll do if we come in power, knowing full well that they're not going to have full power.
Remember one thing, it's sometimes the politics has changed. And we said this originally, where the politics have changed. And it's a very... You said the question about the Lib Dems will lose a lot of parliamentary seats. Well, let me be honest with you. Let's not look at statistics.
That's what the commentators are gauging.
The commentators, their statistics go change. When I started my campaign, the Liberal Democrats were on 4% in Dewsbury. Now we're on 24% in the latest polls. I think the polls go up and down. Let's answer one question seriously. Let's be sensible. If the Liberal Democrats weren't in government, I can guarantee you, say, the cuts that were under Thatcher, allegedly, I can't remember that long as I've been told, it would have been even harder under Osborne and Cameron. What we have achieved in government is people have benefited, is we've increased the income threshold up to £10,000. We're working towards £12,000. We've done free school meals, helping every school children between 4 and 7. By 2016-17, we want to have all primary schools to have free school meals. What we have done, we've frozen the council tax bill. What we have done is we've put more bobbies on the beat, where we have more police officers on the beat. How we've done that is we've taken out the ludicrous idea of ID cards by the Labour Party, which would have discriminated the Muslim community and wasted billions of pounds of the taxpayer. But what we have achieved is being sensible and benefiting the working class people.
Yeah. Okay,
right.
Ayubai.
Okay, now let's just change the topic a little bit. Tell us about your hobbies and what you do in your spare time when you're not sort of talking politics.
I do quite a few things, to be fair. I work as in a corporation where I'm one of the management in the corporation. And mashallah, so far it's good. I play cricket.
Right. Well, on that note, which team are you supporting in this the ICC finals that are going on in Australia and New Zealand?
It's an intriguing question, and if you want an honest answer,
yes, we do.
I'm of an open mind this year, because I won't just. Rarely this happens, but I just want good cricket.
Yeah.
People say to me, my family comes from Pakistan, I have links with England. But if you remember, I had trials for Yorkshire with David Byers. I was an opening fast bowler.
All right, okay.
I had trials with the Yorkshire Cricket Club with David Byers. Now, I have personal links, and I've been to, a couple of England matches. But who do I personally support? We just want good entertainment cricket. I would love it if...
You mean to say you're not supporting England?
England are doing... reasonably well. But
Well, should you be supporting England, especially if you're aiming to be a parliamentary sort of a...
Well, no,
remember one thing. No one can change your identity.
Yes.
And one thing I have is my identity is made of your own blood, on the life. My identity is I'm a Muslim. I'm from Dewsbury, but my blood comes from Pakistan. And I'm proud to say that. It comes from Pakistan, Azad Kashmir. But one thing I come from is, I'm a Dewsbury lad, born and bred. Yes, my priorities is with England, don't get me wrong. I want England to do really well. The chances of England doing really well are very slim. But then what I would prefer is having good entertainment. Rather than, obviously, what I would love is, in cricket, is where every ball gets hit for a six. That as a fan, because it excites you, and I think it's about entertainment. I think like cricket, like sport, things like this, they're more like entertainment rather than passion. And I think.
Well, I think a lot of people on the terraces might disagree, but I have a very simple rule when it comes to cricket and who to support: Australia's opposition.
Oh,
yes,
right.
yes.
That's my rule. Whoever's playing against Australia, that's who
What's
I'm
wrong
supporting.
with Australia, Mohammed?
I sadly was a teenager in college watching them whitewashing England 5-0 on a regular with the running between the wickets, which was even more boring. It was so dull and boring. I'm sorry, I have my thing against Australia.
One of the strongest team at the moment, aren't they?
That's why I'm not watching it much. Okay, you are listening to Radio IMWS. To clarify, all our candidates have been passionate. I've just got a message through. All our candidates have been passionate, all in different ways. And Adnan has been very passionate this evening. We've seen passion in all of them. And Adnan, Jazakallah for joining us in the Radio IMWS studio for the election special program. We do hope you the very best in your campaign.
Right.
The best of luck in your campaign to become the next MP of Dewsbury, inshallah.
Can I just say a couple of words
Yep,
before
sure.
I finish
Yep.
off? I'd like to thank IMWS for giving me an opportunity to express my views. I would also like to thank the listeners to taking their time out listening to the debate. Now, I know, to be fair, people will be listening in the next 4 weeks. You'll be hearing this person said this person said that. The way I look at politics, the power is in the people's hands. It's your decision. No one can take away that from you. If you think I'm the best candidate for Dewsbury, Saviltown, Ravensthorpe, Scout Hill, Murfield, then inshallah you will support me. If you don't, I have no regrets. It's a learning curve for me. I'm only 29, and inshallah I've got a longer future ahead of me. That inshallah I will be here, stronger, better. But inshallah, one message I would give to my community is that goes for myself as well. We need a strong voice for Dewsbury and Murfield. I can't express that enough. The thing is, we've been let down over the years. It's time to put a change to that. Can anyone do it? I don't think anyone apart from myself can. I'm going to be biased here. The reason why is I'm the only local candidate who lives in the town. I am the only one that understands Dewsbury and Murfield. Your agony, your pain is my pain and my agony. And that's the message I want to give to my listeners.
Many thanks, Adnan, for being with us at Radio IMWS. And on behalf of the radio station, we wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
And it is actually pleasing to see a local lad aspiring for the highest position.
Absolutely.
And it's about being, it's a local individual that, one thing you have to remember is a local person who understands the pain. We can have local individuals, but I'm the one that I genuinely, and like many hundreds of our listeners, we understand the pain. And the thing is, I get frustrated because we get decisions made by outsiders. And I give you an example where if I came here and told you to move the furniture, you're going to tell me to go out the door, pretty much. In a sense, that's the same theory I have. We've had Ann Taylor, we've had Shine Malik, and we've had Simon Revel telling us how to improve Dewsbury. Let me tell you something, my friends. We can improve Dewsbury because we live in Dewsbury. We're not going to let an outsider tell us how to run our town.
Okay, and on that note, remember, Radio IMWS election special will be continuing all the way up to the elections. We will, next week, as you're aware, we'll have all the election specials are available on our Radio IMWS YouTube channel. This one will be up there as well, and inshallah, we'll be circulating them again this week through our social media. Next week, inshallah ta'ala, we will have Listeners Week, right? Your opportunity. You've heard 5 of the local candidates. You've heard the 3 main representatives of 3 of the 3 main parties. It's your opportunity to have your say. So you will be able to phone in, you will be able to text or WhatsApp, you'll be able to let us know what you think of the programs. You can even tell me off. That's fine, inshallah ta'ala. You can tell me off, inshallah ta'ala. Did I actually read this part? I can't remember. Did I mention the hand slap that I got today, Ayub? No, I missed that one.
News to me.
Okay, right. Okay, sorry. The hand slap was that Adnan is passionate. Yes, he's very passionate. But yes, all the candidates have been very passionate about who have come in. So I do have to say they have all been very passionate. But I'm sure when you listen back, you'll hear a different passion in each of them, inshallah ta'ala. A very political answer, inshallah ta'ala. That is I think I might be running next time round.
It's quite interesting when people say about being passionate, but it's easy to say.
Yeah.
The passion comes when the passion comes to the heart, and the way I've spoken today. And if I've offended anyone whilst I said anything, I do apologise, because I passionately talk about what's in my heart.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, okay, next week, inshallah ta'ala, we'll be back, like I say, with Listeners Week. Your chance to have your say. Text, WhatsApp, and on the phone, but you can also be here with us in the studio. If you want to come into the studio, just give us a call during normal working hours, 01924 500 555. That's the main office call here at the IMWS. Or what you can do, inshallah ta'ala, is drop us an email at radio@imws.org.uk. We'd love to accommodate as many people as possible, inshallah ta'ala, on the day. But remember that if you can't make it in, don't worry, because you can still be on the show by giving us a call or texting, WhatsApping as well, inshallah. So next week is very important. Another thing that I was asked to mention here is that there are Dewsbury hustings at the Talim Centre in Savile Town on Sunday, and we are also for Dewsbury, and we are also having a hustings here at the IMWS, inshallah, on inshallah ta'ala, I believe in April. We're setting the date as soon as we have confirmation. It is going to be in April. As soon as we have confirmation, we will let inshallah ta'ala we will announce it and let you all know as well. That's it from me, Ayub Adnan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Online and on your home receiver, you're listening to Radio IMWS.
If it's haram, then we'll get lots of guna.
Yeah.
It's not even 1% guna, it's like 100%.
This is the Kids Zone on Sunday afternoon, mashallah.
Isn't it so funny how we all walk around, never even thinking of the dead under the ground? Come to IMWS, turn right and come into the Kids Zone. Read us a story, tell us a joke, do qiraat, a nasheed, a nazam, or a naat.
If you get this right, you will be known as the first ever Radio IMWS Sunnah of Sleeping Champions.
So don't sleep, Niya, Asr and Maghrib.
MashaAllah.
The Kids Zone, every Sunday, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m, only on Radio IMWS. Join the discussion on Radio IMWS every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday from 8 p.m. Topics include Islam, current affairs, health, legal, education and a weekly program delivered in Gujarati. You can join in by calling the studio on 01924 505 629 or send us a text or WhatsApp on 07460 809 218. For program schedules, visit www.imws.org.uk. If you would like to volunteer and be part of the Radio IMWS team, email radio@imws.org.uk or call 01924 500 555.
Special offer. Hire the Al Hikmah halls from Monday to Wednesday for just £28 plus VAT per hall. For more information, call 01924 500 555.
Bookings need to be a minimum of 2 hours and need to be booked 3 weeks in advance.
Radio IMWS.